Welcome to a new episode from For Freaky Girls podcast with tonight, man, fuck them kids, a parental guide to great sex after 40. Let's be clear. We love our kids. We'd do anything for them. But that doesn't change the fact that when it comes to living our best life sexually, our children can be the biggest cock blockers that we will ever meet. Amen.
Amen.
So if you are someone that you know is a parent that is passionate about maintaining a great sex life, then this episode is definitely for you. Hey, Fee. Hey, Maya.
Hey, girl.
I'm so excited about this episode because I've been through it all.
Current situation.
Yeah.
Current situation like a mug. So welcome to the For Freaky Girls podcast. Thanks for joining us once again. And today's topic or episode is, man, fuck them kids, man. Fuck them kids. Mine are upstairs. They might be able to hear what I'm saying. I love it. But on this episode, fuck them kids.
Right.
Because listen, ain't nothing worse than when you are trying to do the damn thing and them little crumb snatchers come and knocking at the wrong moment.
We're trying to get your crumbs snatched.
Right. You feel me? Shoot. Come radar. Just on. Just on. You know. And yeah, so I'm pretty sure we got plenty to cover. So let's go ahead and dive right into it. So first topic of the day, my kids are killing my sex life. If you can relate to this statement, don't worry, you're not alone. We're sharing stories about how both our own children and those of our past or current partners may have cost us an orgasm or two and what we did to save the day.
Girl, why do you think there's 15 years in between my two kids?
Yeah. Listen, it's 8 between mine.
See?
Yeah. And everybody keeps asking me, why are you waiting? Why are you waiting? You might as well do it so that they can grow up together. I'm like, where the hell else they gonna grow up? Am I shipping one to another address for like a portion? Like, I don't understand. No. It's for this shit right here. What we talking about? Right here. So
and if we could get the quiet time, we would make another one.
I mean, we could practice, but nah. Right. Like scoring the basket, nah. I'm good. I'm good. I'm to and through. I'm good. I'm straight. So yeah. What's the deal? Like, it just seems like kids just have the perfect radar. Like, they just know.
It's like intuition to them. They know.
Yes.
They just know.
I'm like,
just know.
Well, don't you know when it's time to clean your room? When it's time to get ready to go to school? When it's time to do all these other things I want you to do? But when it comes to this right here,
right, you sleep through the night any other night. But this night you throw up.
Man. So I remember reading a story, a post actually in a Facebook group. I don't even know if the Facebook group is still going on, if it's still, or if I got kicked out. I don't know what happened. I ain't see it no more. Anyway, the girl was talking about how her and her husband were, you know, getting it in. And she said that he was hitting the spot. I mean, hitting the spot, and she was right there. And then all of a sudden, she gonna hear this tap, tap, tap on the door and just killed the vibe completely. Like, right before she was about to cut out.
Like a desert.
I felt some type of way about that. Like, I'm telling you, I took that so personally because it has happened to me. So what do you think? What do you think that's about, man? Like, what's really good with that? Are they just being haters?
They're prepared for any quiet times. They got an agenda running in their head. As soon as it gets quiet with mom and dad, that's it. We're going in.
Mm-hmm. Man.
Mm-hmm. But I think sometimes they are being haters because they don't like you to have, like, it might sound like you're having fun to them, but they don't want you to have fun without them. But sometimes I just feel like it's just something in their brain is saying, "Hey, I need, I need dad right now." Because of course, for my instance, I don't have no kids, so it's always dad. They always need dad at that moment.
I'm guessing something happened. Do you have a story to share?
Oh, I mean, I've had several instances where I've dated guys with kids. A lot of the times, I don't discriminate, against guys with kids. I don't do that. It's because, I don't have them, but I don't discriminate against, guys who have them. Most of the time, I try to see them and do the thing when the kids is with mom that week.
Mm-hmm.
But, there have been times where both of us be like, okay, we trying to get in here.
Mm-hmm.
And you got to be extra quiet, Like I've had to do it in rooms you don't usually want to do it in because it's far away from the kids' room.
Oh my God, like where?
Half bath downstairs. The basements.
On top of the washer.
Finished, So,
Mm-hmm.
but yeah, it's usually that tap, tap, tap at the door or, hurry up and rustle to try to get some clothes on or cover yourself up or whatever because the kid's coming downstairs. Yeah.
Wow.
We were getting it in one time. I mean, it was going heavy and hard. And I looked down to the bottom of the bed and my 2-year-old was like this.
Tragic. What did you do?
What else could we do? Cover ourselves up and tell her to, go back to your room. I mean, that was it for us. I mean, like Maya said, ain't nothing like drying you up, but
that was better than the Mickey Mouse Club.
Right?
Man. Oh, it would have been so salty.
Oh, I didn't know how to talk to her about it. And I told her, I said, you can't walk in on mommy and daddy having fun anymore.
See, you can't use the word fun because they want to be a part of that.
She never did it again. I think it might have scarred her.
They want to be a part of the fun. So you can't say it's fun.
Thank goodness they don't remember too many things from when they're that young.
Right.
Yeah, buddy. Because I'll tell you what, I walked in on my mom and dad, buddy. I was like 13 or 14. Hey. Oh my God. It was the worst ever. Scarred me for life. But this thing though,
right.
From an adult perspective, now that I am a parent, that's what my ass get. Because the door was shut and I should have knocked. I did not. I don't know why. I don't never walk into a room, you know what I'm saying, without like announcing myself. So I don't know what I was thinking. I don't know if I was excited about something or I was just like, oh, let me tell them, blah, 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 blah. And honey, I walked in that door.
Right.
And I was like, oh my God. They was like, shut the door. And I shut the door and I was disgusted for the rest of the day. Like, right. I remember calling my homegirl, like, I just walked in on them doing it. And she was laughing. I said, that shit ain't funny. Like, I was really salty.
I've never walked in on my parents, like my dad and my stepmom, or my mom and her boyfriend. Never walked in on them, but my mom and my boyfriend, I caught them at the end. And it was that scuffle, trying to, get dressed scuffle. And I was coming up the steps and I saw my mom's boyfriend scurrying across the hallway to the bathroom in his skivvies. So that image I have never gotten out of my head. Because this man was like 6'5", 350.
Oh,
dude.
I came home from school early once.
I don't even know if they were tidy whities. They were like bikini. Like
tidy whities.
Wow. So, yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah, I came home from school early once, and my dad and my mom wasn't supposed to be home. That was my dad and my stepdad and my mom, and I walked in on them during an oral session.
Who was given who?
My mom was given. Scarred for life. Scarred for life.
Oh.
Oh my gosh. No. Yeah, these kids, they on another level. Like they just know. Like, they know. And like I said, if you make too much noise, then they want to know what's happening. They want to know what's going on. And they don't leave you alone until you let them in. Like, even if you do lock the door, they don't leave. And so, and that kills, like, you're just like, fuck it. Like, just fuck it.
Hell, I'd be scared as hell nowadays with all these little kids having all this technology knowledge, setting up cameras and shit in your bedroom to see what they're doing with your door closed.
Right. Mess around and have you on the gram or some shit.
Right. Be seeing yourself on TikTok going, get it, daddy, get it.
Right. You feel me? Yeah, that's crazy. And for me, it's not even my.
God, there weren't camera phones then.
Right.
Yeah. It's not the 17-year-old though. It's that 9-year-old. That's what it is. It's that 9-year-old because her bedroom is right next to ours. So there have been times where she'll be like coming out and she either wants to tell us something, show us something, and she's a daddy's girl. So like there's certain things, you know, when it comes to like gaming, you know, I'm not really a gamer the way that they are. So like she want to show daddy everything. And that door is shut. Honey, daddy is occupied. But we'll hear her
other game right now.
Exactly. We'll hear her walk past the door and then walk past again and then walk past again. And we're like, okay, she either listening or she's stalking one or the other. But there was one time in particular where, you know, we was also having a little head session and he already got his turn. You know what I'm saying? And it was one of them times, I guess, when I might have been like on my cycle or something. So we was trying to, you know, catch up right when I was about to, right when I was right there, all of a sudden you heard her whining about something. Daddy, I was like,
it's like you want to choke him.
Heart just dropped into my chest. Yes, I was just like, you know, mess around and forget you, my kid. So he had to go out there and see what she wanted, and I was just like, because then you know what I'm saying, like the momentum was built up.
Yeah, it's gone. It's gone. Like it's hard to like get back, especially depending on what they want or what's happened. Like I've had the instance where, like I said, in the middle of the night, the kid threw it. Like we thought we was good. It was like 2:30 in the morning, you know, like, so we're good. You know, kids been asleep. And all of a sudden we hear whining and crying and the baby then threw up in her bed.
Oh my gosh.
Oh.
And we're like, what? So of course, you know, you gotta go attend to her, get her cleaned up, get the bed cleaned up, and all that. Like, got back in the bed and it's like, just go to bed.
Time to go. You like
I will say we did get in that morning before they woke back up. So we did make time for it. But still.
That's good. That's good at least. This is one of those things where you be like, I love you so much, but you're a hater right now.
You really just want to say, fuck them kids.
And it's not always easy to send them to friends or relatives or whatever to find that me time. And it's hard to plan, especially if both of you are working. It's hard to, you know, and a planned sex life isn't always that romantic. I like spontaneous too.
Right. Yeah, because you know, especially like I can't speak, you know, like if you have your kids full time, that's different than like, you know, the dudes I usually deal with, they have them like every other week or, you know, on the weekends, you know, things like that. So I can, you know, he has time by himself for a weekend. But if you have your kids 24/7, then yeah, you have to plan. You have to plan a lot more, you know, and making sure they're good, or you know, they're and it's the same thing if they go over for a sleepover. It's like that one night y'all play and have a good night, something happens, and they end up home from the sleepover. Like,
see, when my daughter was young, she used to go to her father's in the summer, and then Christmas break and spring. So I knew I was getting laid in the summertime and at Christmas break and at spring break. I might dry up in between, but I knew I was getting laid during those 3 seasons.
Who said I might dry up in between?
I was a full-time single mother. I mean, she, you know, I had her every week, every weekend, 24/7 until she spent time with her dad.
Yeah.
And you talk about having, girl, I used to pray for her friends to invite her to sleep over. I'll provide all the snacks. I'll go pick everybody else up and bring them over.
Damn.
Right.
Just please give me a night alone.
Right. So I know, like, Fred, you have grown children now. Fee, you have a teenager. Right. So how is it with them? Like, are they still blocking as they is older? Like, we know the little kids, they block. But do the older kids block too?
Well, see, my son just moved out 6 months ago.
Yeah. And
he'll be 25 in July. So hell yeah, he blocked us, especially when, you know, he has a life too, and he's going out after work and coming in at 2 or 2:30 when, you know, that was on the weekends. That was kind of our,
right.
We've had our nap. We're going to wake up for about an hour, get it on, and then go back to sleep time.
Yeah.
So, you know, it was all about learning not to walk around the house naked again. And keep the door closed. And don't get me wrong, I love my kids, but fuck them kids. Like, you should not be living at home as an adult, especially if your parents are still having sex.
See, that's one of the tier for them to move back home. So if you have grown kids who want to move back home, let them know you're going to be getting it in.
You better be telling them. I used to tell him, I used to like to go nightly skinny dipping, you know, like it was more of a spiritual ritual to me.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. But I used to tell him, honey, if you come home and those back doors are open, don't come out to the pool.
Yep. Yeah.
Mama will be out there under the moonlight in all her glory.
All her glory.
See, yep. And I think that's something that we're probably going to have to establish some sort of rule as well, too. Like when we get our new house, because we want a hot tub. Well, we want a hot tub for the house we're in now, but you know, whenever we get that hot tub, like, oh yeah, after a certain time, like that's mommy and daddy time. Don't come out there.
Yeah, adult only hot tub.
Yeah, don't come out there. Like I said, our 17-year-old, like most of the time, he's in his room. Yeah, his room is upstairs.
Okay.
So, you know, it's not really him. No, it's that 9-year-old. It's that 9-year-old that if I hug her dad, she wants in on the action.
Yeah.
Because she's a daddy's girl. Don't get me wrong, that's my dog. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, you know, she spent more time with me than anybody, you know, coming up because she didn't go to daycare or anything.
Right.
So she was with me for, you know, the first 5 years of her life, but that's daddy's baby all day long. Like, for real. So she's trying to get a piece of that action. And I'm like, you don't understand.
Right. Yeah, so my niece,
and
my sister will probably kill me, but so my niece, she's an adult, you know, she's in her early 20s. And my sister, you know, has a partner. He lives out of town, so he comes in town on the weekends. Mm-hmm. And, you know, my sister warns, you know, because she has 20-something son and daughter. But I think the son, he was out of town that weekend. Mm-hmm. And so my sister thinking she got the house because my niece got her own place now. So my sister thinks she got the house to herself. Her and her dude can have fun, you know, do the thing. And she didn't expect. And my niece went over there. She has a key to the house. And she went over there because she had just like recently moved out. She was coming home to get like some stuff that she hadn't taken. And she went upstairs. My sister's room was closed. But my niece, she's like, oh my God, I heard some things I never wanted to hear. And my sister was clueless. She didn't even know that she had come and left my niece as soon as she heard it. She was like, I bolted out of there.
Oh.
My sister didn't know until like a couple days later. Or I think I either told her or my oldest niece told her, like, you know, she heard you having sex, right?
Ooh.
My sister's response was like, she shouldn't have been there.
Oh, yeah.
Well, we talked about, you know, walking in on our parents when we were younger, but have you ever walked in on them as you were
As adult?
As adult?
No, but my mom walked in on me one day.
Oh.
So I was still living with her. This was early 2000s, so I was like early 20s, right?
Yeah.
Like 2021 something. And I had my dude there. She was sleeping. It was early in the morning, but my dog was in the room with me. So the door was shut, but she went to open the door, I guess, to let the dog out. Oh, well, I was like, oh, I'm sorry. I was like, okay. Because, you know, I don't know, it's a small part of me that's like, I don't know. I kind of feel like, you know what I'm saying, you was like being a little bit, you know, inquisitive. But, you know, that's neither here nor there. The thing about it was he was so embarrassed. And I was almost about to come. So I was like, nah, we got to finish. And he was looking like, and I was like, no, I'm dead ass serious. Like, he was like, what? I'm like, no, I'm dead ass serious. And you know what I'm saying? I helped him get back. I got what I needed. I don't recall us ever having a conversation about it.
No.
I mean, what was there to say? The door was shut. Just like I said, when I did it, when I was a teenager,
I'm surprised
the door
she
was
was
shut.
apologetic. That's like, my mom would have been apologetic at all. Like,
I wouldn't have any hair left.
Right. Like, I know you ain't fucking in my house.
I mean, this is the thing. We had a conversation, like, you know what I'm saying, when I was staying there with her or whatever. Like, we had a conversation, and I was like, look, you know, I don't have to bring nobody here. I can go elsewhere. Right. You know what I'm saying? And like, this wasn't like a random, like, we were together. This was like my boyfriend. You know what I'm saying? Like, so she was like, no, it's fine. You know, like, we're grown. And I was like, sure, you know, because you say, yeah, you know, but what I would try to do is like just wait until after, you know what I'm saying? I knew she was like in the room for the night before our, you know, whatever. She said she had heard me before that. She ended up telling me, and I was like, oh. Like, there wasn't no point in being embarrassed about it. It had already happened.
Right.
Plus, like, okay, you heard me. You didn't do nothing to stop from hearing me.
Right.
But I mean, I was just, you know, I don't know. I guess me and my mom just had a different kind of relationship. Because I mean, you know, I heard her too a couple times. She had, you know, people around. I was like, okay, but I would just get up and like leave. I would give her the whole house. You know, yeah, I give her the whole house. Like, oh, I ain't even going downstairs. I'm just gonna go find somewhere to go be. Mm-hmm. So you can go do you. You know what I'm saying? But
make as much noise as you want, Mom.
Mm-hmm.
But you know, like, it's really because I'm sure all of us had, you know, sex in our parents' house when we weren't supposed to be having sex, like as teens and stuff. So
may or may not have been on their bed.
Quiet then, and it's almost like, you know, the audience just changed. Like, you had to be quiet with your parents, and now as adults with kids, you gotta do the same thing just to get it in.
I never did as a teenager.
No.
My dad, girl, because you ain't know my dad. Yeah, right. I had a dude came over to visit me one day. Like, I wasn't allowed to have anybody at the house when nobody was home, like most kids.
Right.
He came to the door, knocked on the door. I had enough time to tell him, you know, we need to like make this quick because I was standing in the doorway. I never crossed the threshold. My dad pulled up.
Right.
Came home from wherever it was he was coming. I was like, oh, well, you better go ahead and go now because I'm about to get in trouble. And I did. I got in trouble.
Did you get it just because he was at the door? Wow.
Yep, because my dad just knew he had caught me doing something. And I was like, okay. Meanwhile, the girls that lived across the street from me was like having dudes drop them off down the street, having dudes climbing in the window and shit. I wasn't doing none of that. None of that. And he had only been there, I swear, 5 minutes.
Right. Yeah, even after I got caught having sex in the house with my parents there, the only thing that changed was that my boyfriend couldn't come upstairs anymore. He could still come to the house. He wasn't allowed upstairs. But yeah, that was the only thing that changed. And I denied it till I was blue in the face that that's what we was doing. But
I don't know what you talking about.
Mom, she was like, I know what I heard.
I don't know what you talking about.
I didn't
no mistaking that noise.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't admit it till I was fully grown though to her. I was like, yeah, you was right. I was in there doing it.
And if you try to turn on music, that just draws the kids even more.
Yeah.
To muffle out the sound.
Yeah. Yeah, the music. I mean, I guess that's a technique if it works, but like I will always know what the music meant. So I was just like okay.
But then I wanted to do your kids though. Did the kids know that that's what that means? Like
probably not the little one. The big one probably does.
Right.
Yeah. Because his room is he has the whole our upstairs is like a loft area.
Right.
With like a half bath, and then his bedroom is straight to the back. So the entire place is the whole on top of the whole house.
Yeah.
So I'm pretty sure, like, if we can hear him up there, I'm pretty sure he can hear us. Yeah.
No. Yeah, it's always something to muffle the sounds, either music or you play the TV real loud. Like an action movie or something with a lot of explosions and things. Car chases.
My head pushed in the pillow. Yeah, face pushed right in the pillow.
See, I can't even be quiet with that. So I just like
into the mattress.
Like to have I just have to have a muted orgasm. That's and
I don't know. Is that possible?
I don't think that's possible.
Unfortunately.
Yeah, no. He put his hand over my mouth before, or like pushed my head into the mattress or the pillow, or threw something over my head before. I can't help it. The one time he was like, "Yeah, you was loud." I said, "My body was levitating. I don't know what you were talking about." Great orgasm. I couldn't help it. Like.
Like, you're still making sounds. Like, as Cardi B says, macaroni in the pot. Like, you still making sounds. Mm-hmm. So, yeah. The bed's creaking, something.
Yeah. You know what? That's it. Okay. So since we started to get into that anyway, let's go ahead and move into the next topic. So, good parents can have great sex.
Yeah.
So now that we know how kids can affect your sex drive, we're going to give you some tips on how to counteract their invasive maneuvers and have the best sex of your life. So, yeah, one of them is if you got to stuff your partner's face in the pillow because they being too loud, do that shit. Just do whatever you got to do to be able where they can still continue to have an uninterrupted orgasm.
Right.
Because that's the worst. So, yeah, so what kind of tips do we have for, the peoples on how they can, outsmart these children and still get their groove on? Because we deserve to have great sex,
So this might be an unpopular opinion from the person with no kids. It's the co-sleeping. Don't do that. Don't do that. At some point, your kids need to sleep in their own room. So the co-sleeping you're not going to have a sex life if your kid is in your bed until they're like 9 years old. Like you're not going to have any type of sex life. So at some point, like, I understand this infants and toddlers and things like that, yes. But after a while, they need to know to sleep in their own beds.
Okay, I got a question. And I know that some people are gonna feel some type of way about it, but I'm talking to like the true as 100% as committed as parents out here. Have you ever done it with your child in the bed?
No.
And when I say child, let me make this clear. I'm talking about like infant.
Yeah.
I'm talking about they still in diapers. I ain't talking about your 7-year-old.
Right.
I'm talking about when they little.
No.
And you have that they acting like they just will not stay in their bed, and y'all was already trying to get it popping, and you finally got them back to sleep, and you like, I don't want to move this little mofo.
No, I've never been in that situation with a dad. So
okay. What about you, friend?
Never. I even had, when my son was a newborn, I had one of those baskets that you kind of slip under the mattress where they can sleep in their own area, but they're still right beside you on the bed. I couldn't even do it when him laying there on his own thing. Mm-hmm. I don't know. I just couldn't.
I'm going to keep it real. It was one time. One time. The baby was we put the baby on the other side of the bed. Like so this is what happened. So we were already like engaged. And I'm trying to remember if it was my daughter or my son, but I don't remember, to be honest with you. But I don't know. They were, whichever one it was, they were super small. And we were at the point where they, both of our kids slept with us until they got to a certain age. Mm-hmm. We got them their big boy or big girl bed. Right. And then they started sleeping in their big boy or big girl bed. So our kids were notorious for getting up and coming in the bed, getting in the bed with us. Like, we would wake up and there would be a kid in between us. And what the fuck did this happen? Right. This particular time, though, this one woke up while we were, in the middle. And so we had to stop, get them back to sleep. It was one of those moments where if I move them, they're going to wake up. So what we did was we put them on the side of the bed, way over there. Put some pillows all around. We didn't even try going in the other room. But when it was so bad that when we got up to get out the bed, that little head kept popping up, and we was like, you know what I'm saying? Like, so we was on one side of it, and we got a king. Like, we got the Cali Kings, the big ones. So it was a lot of space. Like, we was way over here, and they was way over there. Right. And it was I promise you, it was just the one time. But we was just like, look, we got to have some sort of compromise somewhere. Like, this is getting ridiculous. Like, we trying to move to different areas of the house, and it just wasn't happening. Most people would be like, girl, y'all should have just gave up. You don't understand. Whatever it was about that particular night, that was not enough.
Sometimes you just want it. You just want it that bad, and it don't matter. Like, and you say, "Fuck them kids," because you you want it. Like,
yeah. And that was one of them nights. So you the viewer, are allowed to feel however you want to feel about what I just said, but judge your mama. Okay, right. Because there's some days when you are just like, like, you need to have that connection. Right. And there was no involvement. Mm-hmm. Like I said, way over there on the other side, oblivious to what was going on, and the baby was a baby. Like, they were the one. I think it was her. I think it was my daughter. But yeah, like, it was one of those moments where, you know what I'm saying, we just needed to finish what was started. Right. And that was that. And that, like I said, was not a normal thing. We didn't do it again, but it was just that time, man. It was just like, yo, all right, Yeah. Yeah. Make sure we could.
And I think it's a thing of, sometimes you just want it. And you shouldn't be made to feel guilty. That's why I think one of my other tips would be, like, you had an active and healthy sex life to get them kids. to get pregnant and have them kids. And some people think that their sex life has to stop, or not stop, but, suffer because now they have kids. And I know people are having, so I think some of our audiences that they still have small kids, because people are having kids later on, in their mid to late 30s now. So they're, in their 40s with toddlers, with, small children, and thinking that, their sex life is non-existent now just because they have these kids now. And I think people just need to get out that mindset that your sex life doesn't stop just because you had kids, because you had a sex life in order to have them kids. So your sex life doesn't have to stop, or suffer because now that you have those kids.
So I'd sit their ass in front of some cartoons and go into the bathroom and have a quickie if I had to.
Yes, learn the art of the quickie.
Now, for us, we have learned how to turn shower time into, the excuse to be in the bedroom with the door shut and nobody is trying to figure out what is going on.
Gotcha.
You know what I'm saying? It's almost like a technique or a tactic. Not one that we even have to use very often, but say it's in the middle of the day, because sex for us is not limited to nighttime activity.
Right.
It happens when it happens. But that is one of the things where we're like, okay, well, let's go take a shower real quick. And then, we do the thing. But there is an advantage, to getting them to sleep and all of that stuff. And then, having time afterwards. I think that one thing that a lot of parents run into is they don't have a set nighttime schedule.
Right.
Parents who let their kids stay up until 9, 10, 11 o'clock at night on, weekday night, whatever. That was one of the things we've told our kids before, no, y'all gotta go to bed because this is mommy and daddy time now.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
that's important. That's important, and it's a boundary that we set for ourselves, with our children, because we give so much of ourselves to them. Most of the 24 hours that you get out of a day, if they're at home, it's committed to them.
Right.
So, it's definitely healthy for you to set boundaries with your children.
Right.
I know a lot of people are made to feel guilty for it, but like I said, judge your mama, because you ain't gonna get it from me. You ain't gonna make me feel bad.
I was reading on some websites about some suggestions, and it mentioned have a schedule, even with your kids, have a schedule. Even if you guys have to plan sex, like the kids go to bed at 8 o'clock, by 9:30, we're getting it on.
Right.
Plan a schedule, be spontaneous. Be ready for the quickies. Be inventive. Okay, save up your money and just splurge on a hotel one night and just plan on going at it. No dinner and wine and all that. Just you're going there to straight get it on.
Right.
You have to invent different scenarios for different situations. But that schedule for the kids is important.
That's a big one. Yeah. That's a big one. Yeah, I don't understand why people, and I mean, I guess I can't understand it just not having kids, but why people feel guilty about having their intimate time. I don't know, maybe y'all can, it doesn't sound like y'all feel too guilty about it though.
No, but in the beginning, yes.
Yeah.
Because when you're new parents, everybody wants to project what they know about being a parent onto you.
Right.
They want to ask about, they want to give all their advice. You know what I'm saying? Because they want to be helpful, especially when you have little babies, new babies. Everybody wants to be helpful. But what I've noticed is as, the children got older, that, people who had certain mindsets, our parents are really not really our parents. Well, kind of half and half with our parents. Because at first it was oh, well, y'all do this. I ain't have time to do that, blah, 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 blah. And it's okay, well, to me, that sounds like that was a mismanagement of time on your part. I'm never going to feel bad about having me time. And
Right.
sometimes me time is me and him time. You know what I mean? So, but I also feel like that's a big part of the reason why a lot of couples have issues is because they're not setting those boundaries. They're not making time for themselves. You know, they're not exercising their right to be able to say, you know what?
Right.
Take your ass to sleep. Go in your room, do something. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, they're not planning that time for themselves. And I really feel like that's important.
Right. Yeah, and I think like unless it was like, you know, unless it's like a stepchildren type of scenario, like y'all before you had the kids, you know? So like, you have to keep that. Because one day them kids is gonna be gone. So, you know, you have to maintain. So yeah. So like you have to maintain that intimacy with each other, you know, through raising the kids in order to be able to continue that once they're gone. Because otherwise you're just gonna be sitting there looking at each other like, what do we do now?
Yeah, that's very important as you get older, is to maintain that intimate connection, because you have no kids in the house now.
Right.
You have no real, and I don't want to seem negative about this, but you don't have that kid connection, you know, that shared responsibility. Now the only responsibility you have is mainly to yourself and to any pets that you might have.
Yeah.
You know, so you need to maintain that intimate connection because there's nothing forcing you. Like, you have the time. You're not having to sneak around and make it more exciting. You can still sneak around and make it more exciting. There's bathrooms in restaurants. Learn to stand up.
Or picnic tables in the woods.
See?
But you know what? Go ahead.
I'm just saying, be inventive. Don't make the excuse of, oh, we have no kids now, and, you know, we're over 40 or we're almost 60. There's different types of intimate connections. You just need to keep those intimate connections going. You know, I'm not saying go and have a full-fledged fuck fest. You know, a whole night of cuddling and just stroking each other, watching TV together, eat a bag of popcorn. That's intimacy right there. You know, but you deserve that, especially after raising them kids, because fuck them kids, man. They took
but you know,
years of your life.
I kind of peep because y'all know I go to like night lifestyle clubs, aka swingers clubs, you know, a lot. And I can tell the difference between like those people who are there because they just love the lifestyle, you know, they're there to have fun. And you could tell those parents who are there like, and they're going buck wild because this is the first time, you know, they've been, not the first time, but the first time in a long time, probably they've been able to let loose because they have that responsibility of kids, and they've kind of like, you know, denied themselves because of their kids. Like, you can just tell the difference. I don't know, like, I'm an observer, so you can just tell the difference between like those people who, you know, you can tell they have, I don't want to say like, a more of a healthy, you know, sexual lifestyle inside and outside the club. Versus those people who like, oh my God, they're so relieved to be here. You know, they can finally get it on, have fun. And like, you know, and those are usually the people that go off into a room, shut the door, nobody can come in there because that's their only time that, you know, they have with themselves. It's so funny to like observe that, but you can tell the difference.
Most of the time, going to a lifestyle club one night is cheaper than a freaking hotel.
Yeah, it's the level of intensity and the level of commitment that they have to it, right? Like, they playing no games, wasting no time. Yeah. But to take your previous point a step further, keep in mind, you are the blueprint for what your children know to be what a healthy, happy relationship is, right? To have healthy, happy sex.
Right.
So if you're always giving, and you guys are not setting boundaries for those kids, what do you think they're going to then go and do when they start having kids?
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Like,
so
they never
seen that way.
each other, hugging on each other, you know, being and showing that intimacy, not necessarily with sex, but just showing that intimacy with each other.
Yep.
You know, openly. Yeah, I agree.
A lot of
Yes.
people are often surprised that I'm so open about sex at my age, but what they don't know is that my dad and my mom were both freaks.
Mm.
And I know this because of the way they used to talk openly about sex with us.
Mm-hmm.
Like, my dad and I were watching a movie one time, and this guy took this woman and put her up against the sliding glass doors and was fucking her. And I looked at my dad and I said, if I ever come home and see butt prints on our sliding glass doors, I'm going to turn around and run. He said, honey, if you ever see that, you better call 911 because one of us probably didn't make it out alive. And my mom was the same way. And I think that's why me and my siblings grew up with such healthy, attitudes about sex. And that in turn helped me to pass that on to my children. Like they know they can, my son will come to me and talk to me about something before he will go to the doctor. I'll tell him, I have an MD, but it stands for mom discount, not medical doctor. You get a mom discount, but yeah.
Right.
So, it just, if you pass that down, it keeps going.
Yeah.
I agree with that too. My parents, like I don't want to say like they, we never, well, my mom sat me down to have the talk about, how babies are made and stuff early, just because the women in our family have our cycles early. I had got my cycle when I was 9. So like we had to have that talk early, but it was more from a health, it wasn't really about sex. When they found out I was having sex, then we had, more of an in-depth conversation about sex. I found my dad's porn stash, so I knew he was a freak. So I feel like it's genetic now, But yeah, no, my mom, and again, she'll deny this till probably, the end of her days. But she told this to me and my sister separately. Me and my sister 8 years apart. But she told us separately how to view and think about sex. And she also, sex is simply a physical act. You can put as much or as little emotion into it as you want. And I've always carried that in my viewpoints on sex. Like I never equated sex for love and love, for sex. Mm-hmm. So throughout my, my life. So I think, it's created a healthy relationship. The healthy relationship I have with sex, which I feel is a healthy relationship. Mm-hmm. But yeah, so, and I know it saved me from some situations, in relationships that never happened because of that mindset. Like where I can, I know I can, basically get my rocks off and not have to, be with this person or marry this person or, all the things. So yeah, having that open intimacy. And like my mom and my dad and my bonus mom, they always were very open with their intimacy, with their significant others and everything. So I always was able to see that, with them. So I know what, healthy relationships should look like.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's important because, you passing these people out in the world is, broken.
Right.
Or, have this fucked up mindset, of what they're supposed to be expecting. Yeah.
Right.
So, yeah, that's one of the things. But, yeah, we almost at time already. This is ridiculous. Like,
it's a good topic. It's a good topic. Like you say, fuck them kids, but you also want to raise good kids.
Yeah. It's I guess it's like anything else in, that you do in life. You have to have a healthy balance. You know what I'm saying? Like take the time to have flings with your spouse or with your partner or significant other. Like it doesn't have to be 100% about the kids 100% of the time because that's just not realistic.
Right. Right.
It's just not realistic. So take time for you and whatever level of intimacy, that you need to create in that short period of time. I mean, if it's a quickie, even if things are planned, like sex is planned, you can still have that spark. You can still have fun within that. It doesn't have to be cut and dry. You know what I mean? You curate that to what
Right.
you guys like, you know?
And
it's
some of
really
my
okay.
best sexual experiences have been quickies, so you can still have great sex in a quickie.
Yeah. Shit, start getting creative. Because, I mean, if anything, even if it turns into like a blooper-like situation, you know, you break some furniture or somebody falls and bump their head or something. Like, y'all got that memory for the rest of y'all days. Like, I got a memory. I can't tell you. I'm sorry. I can tell you off camera. I can't tell you on camera because I haven't been given permission to share that one.
Let me tell you about one.
Ever, huh?
Let me tell you about one.
Okay, cool.
So we used to go up to an island up off in northern Ohio, Put-in Bay, and go camping. So the one weekend we leave our 16-year-old son at home alone, right down here in Columbus. We're just having the most intimate night, and my phone starts going off. And I was like, fuck that phone. Well, then my husband's phone starts going off. He answers it, and he's like, what is it, son? He's like, you and mom have to come home. There's a millipede down here in the basement, and I can't kill it. He's going to kill me for telling this.
Not a millipede.
Like, boy, are you serious right now?
Was he living in the basement?
A millipede or a centipede or something like that. There was a spider. It was something with more than 2 legs downstairs crawling around. Scared the hell out of him.
What was his room in the basement?
Yeah, we have a finished basement.
Oh, I was like, dude, if you don't go upstairs and go get in my bed, right?
That's basically what we told him.
You don't take a shoe.
It was a wrap after that. That was like, we were laughing so hard we just couldn't get it back. That was, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Talk blocked by an insect.
I'm telling you, some of the best memories that y'all can laugh about for years and years to come are when y'all trying to, you know, do something on the fly or, you know, trying to be romantic or, you know, trying to create a moment and then something crazy happens and, you know, it's just, it turns out to be, you know, a good memory for you. So listen, do what you can. You know what I'm saying? Like, get creative, curate that shit to, you know, whatever it is that you guys do, what y'all love, you know, what works and what doesn't. I mean, you know, we did it in the basement once. Y'all seen my basement. I was like, this ain't it. But the kids were like taking over everywhere upstairs. And I was like, well, at least let's try, you know? So, yeah, you know, we had our laugh about the basement, but the basement ain't it. But at least we knew, you know what I'm saying? Take that one off the list.
Right. Take that off the list.
Take that one off the list and, you know, go to some other areas in our 1,200 square foot home. So, anyhow, we're going to wrap it up on that note. But thank you once again for, you know, joining us. You know, as always, you can hit us on all social medias at Four Freaky Girls Podcast. Where we at on the interwaves?
Facebook, Instagram.
We are on TikTok. Yes, we are on all podcast streaming, Apple, Spotify, and iHeart.
And we're newly on Fanbase.
Yes.
Yay!
Yay!
It's Fanbase. You don't know about Fanbase? It's an awesome app. You should go check it out, or you know, hit us up and we'll give you info on it. Again, you can always email us at info@4freakygirlspodcast. And yeah, freaks, go have some good sex. You know,
fuck them kids.
Fuck them kids. Fuck them kids. But we love y'all, and we will see y'all on the next one.
Bye.
Bye.